Hello and welcome everyone. Darcy Smyth here, creator of the Tonal Persuasion Method for Sales. I'm joined by Alana Joins, who is a social media master. And Alana, we've wanted to connect and do this interview for a while. Thank you so much for joining us here to add value to your community.
That's all right. Anytime. It's great to be here.
I know we've been speaking about this for a while because we do take quite, should we say, similar approaches in the way that we both connect with our markets, particularly through our marketing and sales, particularly through the massive value adding aspect of sales and marketing. So it's good to actually interview you with and get some of your thoughts and add some value to your community based on the expertise that you have.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I'm
definitely similar. There is key similarities in the approach, which is great because a lot of people are disjointed with their sales and marketing, which, as you know, doesn't work. So it's important.
For sure. Love it. I just want to chat about that, even to just kick things off a bit, Alana. When it comes to sales and marketing, what are you finding are some of the approaches that people have that are a bit disjointed? Are you finding that people have marketing approaches that don't necessarily flow quite well into their sales approach, or vice versa? What are you typically finding in the clients you work with?
Yeah, I do. I find that they see it as two separate things. So they'll put it on, sometimes they even have two different languages for both. And a lot of them don't see sales as adding value. They just see it as, I'm going to sell something. So they make it all about themselves. But then sometimes in their content, they will try and consider the prospects or the even current clients that they have. So often there's a disjoint between the languages they use and then the conversations, when really with sales, as you know, and you have taught me, it should be about adding the value. So that's where I think they should see it as they're separate things, but sort of using the same language and keeping it authentic.
Love it. You're a big, shall we say, advocate for this whole idea of making it about others from the moment that they connect with your brand. For a lot of people in the modern world, that is on social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, etc.
Yeah.
What do you think is the main thing people need to know about that, about the idea of making it all about others as opposed to about themselves, particularly when they first connect with their audience?
I think there's a few things. The first thing is the 80-20 rule, which most people get the wrong way around. So most people will make it 80% about themselves and 20% adding value.
Yeah.
And it should be 80% adding value and 20% about themselves. That's probably the key issue that I see. The other thing is it is a lot easier to create content based on your target clients when you do proper, from the beginning. Even with my clients, I do proper target audience sessions where we work out exactly who they're aiming for, because if it's too broad, people really struggle with narrowing down the content, and then they won't attract people because it just is generic and it doesn't reach them on an emotional level or based on their needs. So they're probably the two key things that I think are important.
Yeah. Are you finding that that those that are able to speak the language of their buyers from the start typically do follow that through in their sales processes? Are you finding that, is there any sort of I know companies that typically know it from the start, know it all the way through, so to speak?
Yeah, and typically they build a lot stronger brands as well, because everything is the same. People get to know it, they get to know the language. And it makes a massive difference. Yeah,
people are often talking a lot these days about brand voice and the type of voice and the vote, like that, almost like the it's the whole brand identity that starts with the way that you use language and connect with your buyers from the start, and how that's flowing through. It's a big topic point at the moment in the sales and marketing world. It always has been, but more and more recently with the advent of social media, this is coming through even stronger.
Yeah, it is, especially with Facebook. They've now got a lot of the recent updates that are blocking any sort of spammy content. So there's a lot of people getting caught out. The ones that aren't using the language of what their buyers would be looking for, adding value, they're going nowhere with it. They can't.
Good way to be.
It doesn't work. Yeah.
Love it.
It's good because it makes the platform not as trashy. So
Yeah, for sure. Now, you're also a big advocate of the way, not necessarily the words that need to be said. That there's a big part of what we've just spoken about, but you're also about how to deliver the content. You often talk about people on social media want small digestible bits. They don't want necessarily the long blogs or the 45-minute videos or anything like this.
Yeah.
What do you think is getting the best results in terms of that?
I think definitely short and sweet, and to the point, not going on and on about probably the biggest mistake that I see people make is they'll try and talk about a story, but they'll literally just put a whole story on to try and get their consumers or even potential clients to the point, but it shouldn't be. No one's interested in reading slabs of information. So I think it's better to just get to the point. And if you are going to have stories or even case studies, depending what industry, make them short, not long. Don't overcomplicate it, I think is the most important thing.
Yeah, keep it
and
simple.
Having more doesn't make you look more sophisticated. It annoys people, I think.
Yeah, particularly if you're in the wrong sort of arena. If you're hanging out on Facebook and posting big slabs of content, I think those types of blogs and things like that more belong on a website.
Yeah, and LinkedIn you can get away with a little bit more. Well, you've got to really show your knowledge on that. So that's a different platform, but definitely with Facebook, yeah, not too much information. Videos are better as well on Facebook, which you're good at. They can watch your videos if they are. Videos are.
I appreciate that a lot. So as far as the social media world goes, I find really interesting, Alana, is that it's social media, and that word media tends to be acted upon more than the word social. People often forget that it's a social platform just online, and they feel as though that because it's online, they should act differently to how they do in personal life. You would never walk up to someone at a networking event, a real networking event, walk up to them and say, hey, do you want to buy my thing? It just doesn't work that way. But so many people on LinkedIn, Facebook, connections that are made, this spam that can come through, it actually happens. It's quite weird that people don't realize it's social media, and it should be treated as such. And one of the most important parts about that, I find, Alana, I'd love to hear your thoughts, is the idea of engagement and how to actually engage with the people that comment on your posts, like your posts, etc. What sort of parallels do you see between normal social life and actual social media in that aspect?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of people that are still trying, or the ones that aren't doing well, that do try and just spam people. Like I get even probably 50 messages a week of just people join my group without even saying hi, and it's just stupid. Like I won't even look at. And once the problem with that is once someone does that,
so straightforward and it's just straight up. They're just stupid.
I'll never look at their stuff. Like it's not just a one-off. I won't look at that current. That's it. That's done. I'm not interested. Yeah. Like so, it's really something that people have to be careful of because it can really impact people just not wanting a bar of anything. They just don't care. And definitely when people are engaging, it builds more of a relationship, like people with their own pages. It's probably one of the things that I've noticed as well is if people use VAs, they need to make sure that they're using the same language because there's so many business people that I've seen that will engage a VA that doesn't talk in their language, and you can tell straight away that you can see the disjoint. So that's another thing that people need to be careful of is if they do need one, make sure the language is, they learn your language properly.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, there can be spelling mistakes or it can look inauthentic.
Sure. There's that disconnect again.
Yeah.
Yeah. On the topic of language, how do you find a lot of business owners in particular, I find that when it comes to owning our own industry and knowing what we're talking about, we can sometimes get in the habit of using a lot of jargon and industry terms that our customer or our ideal client may not be familiar with, but to us, it's just secondary language. How do you find people are using, the people that are getting the most success, Alana, how do you find they're using language in order to connect with their market in terms of the specificity and perhaps the abstraction of the language that they're using?
Yeah, I find definitely that the ones that talk at the level even potential clients would be looking for, or even current clients would engage with, they achieve a lot better results. An example is with a mortgage broking company, a lot of them will put up, if there's a rate announcement, they'll just put up what the rate announcement is, but that doesn't make sense to the general public, they don't understand what difference that will make to their loans and what they're paying. So an example of that is to language it as, you know, this is a change, this is what it means for you, and actually show examples of that relate to them rather than just this is what it is. So really it's got to relate to them on their level, definitely. And language it's too complex and they don't understand, they generally won't look at.
Yeah. Bring it back to that social aspect before, you know, if you're at a party and you're using jargon and specific terms that no one knows, you know, what the definition of these words are or where they even fit, pretty quickly you're going to be shown that you're not the life of the party. You're going to be talked to. You'll be there grabbing a beer out of the fridge with no one around you to grab one with. So yeah. It's the way that it goes.
Yeah, that's true. It's definitely true.
Yeah. And how about, I think like a final point here, Alana, which is again, something that you often talk about. I've followed your content in your group and everything like that. You often talk about repurposing of content and the posting of content across different channels. People often say, you know, do I post the same thing on LinkedIn as I do on Facebook business page, as a Facebook group, on a LinkedIn group, on my Instagram page? Do I post all the same stuff or is it different? And this is one of the major questions that people really start to answer themselves when they start on social media. What are you finding is getting the best results there?
Yeah, so I find having quite a few people try and have too many platforms. So I tend to recommend not having all of them, just focus on 2 or 3 max.
And you can do really well.
Yeah,
I like that.
Because like LinkedIn, there's different language. Like LinkedIn, you do more articles. You've really got to show your knowledge. You can't just put up one line. Like Facebook, you need to have not much writing. LinkedIn's different and Instagram is different again, obviously, because images. So that's why I say 2 or 3 and then do them properly and try not to just share between platforms, because people, if you're doing it a lot, it just looks like you're either lazy or don't have enough knowledge to share, so you're just sharing things. So I think it's better, it's actually even better to do slightly less frequently, like every second day, but different content, than say every day, which is too much in my opinion anyway, and doing the same content just shared, because it really doesn't, it just doesn't, people don't react well to it. Yeah,
love it. What would be sort of a final tip here, Alana? Is there anything that's been getting your blood boiling a bit lately that you'd love to share a tip on when it comes to social media? Or is there anything you want to wrap up with a final explosion of advice?
Final tip would be just be consistent, because there's a lot of people that just, they'll give it a shot and patience as well. Like it's not always instant, you know, in the beginning, if you haven't been doing much social media advertising or even posting, and then you start, it's going to take, you're going to have to build awareness before you get to curiosity, and it's going to be a bit of a process. And it's not always a straight up, you know, not always just going to get thousands of people coming in. It's a bit of a roller coaster of rides. So it's just being consistent and make sure you're always thinking about what your potential clients are looking for and what current clients, what value you can add for them as well.
Love it. Yeah, so many people use social media and marketing as a way to get new clients. Very few realize that it's also a way to remain in contact passively in the background with your current clients as well, remaining top of mind once they're already a buyer as well.
Yeah, they do. They forget that, and then they're left behind or they lose them.
Yep, love it. Love it. Awesome, Lana. Well, thank you so much for the tips. I know this one's going to go straight out to your community. I know they're going to love it. And as always, I look forward to another one of these interviews in the near future, I'm sure.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. Now, Alana, if people do want to join your group or follow your Facebook page or follow you on social, where would be the best place to go?
Yeah, so the group is called Digital Marketing Hacks for SMEs, and I'll put the link in the comments below when this is up.
Fantastic.
And the page is under my name, Alana Joins.
Yes.
And yeah, they're the best place.
Awesome. All right, go there. And this has been a fantastic interview. Again, if there's any questions or comments, you guys post them below. I know Alana will be all over it. We'll be adding the value as we can. And we'll see you next time. Thanks, Alana.
No worries. Bye.
Cheers.